One of the most dangerous financial mistakes is not missing an opportunity. It is believing that something must be a good investment simply because it is expensive. Many people spend their lives buying things that look valuable, respectable, and safe. They buy bigger homes, newer cars, complicated financial products, luxury goods, and investments they do not understand. On paper, it feels like progress. In reality, some of those things quietly drain them. They may appear on a balance sheet as assets while behaving like liabilities in everyday life. That is what makes fake assets so dangerous. To be clear, fake asset is not an accounting term. A car or a home may still have resale value and therefore count as an asset on a balance sheet. Here, the phrase means something more practical. An item sold as a wealth-building asset that consistently weakens your cash flow, increases your risk, or reduces your future choices. These purchases do not feel like mistakes at first. They feel like success. They make you look wealthier while making your financial life heavier. Before looking at examples, we need a practical way to judge an asset. A productive asset usually does at least one of three things. It produces cash flow, it has a reasonable basis for long-term appreciation, or it improves your ability to create future value. A productive business can be an asset. A useful skill can be an asset. A sensibly priced investment, intellectual property, or a rental property that produces net income can be an asset. But context matters. The same object can strengthen one person's finances and weaken another's. A truck used by a profitable construction company may be a productive business asset. The same truck bought mainly for status may be an expensive consumption item. A home can provide stability and long-term value, but an oversized home with unaffordable payments can make a family financially fragile. So the question is not simply, what is this thing called? The better question is, what does this purchase actually do to my cash flow, risk, and future choices? With that standard in mind, let's look at some common fake assets. The first is the constantly upgraded new car, especially the luxury car. A car can be useful for many people. Reliable transportation is essential for work and family life. The problem begins when transportation becomes identity. Car advertising rarely sells only safety, reliability, or fuel economy. It sells emotion. It tells you that you deserve more, that you have arrived, and that other people will respect you differently. From a personal finance perspective, most new cars are depreciating, zero cash flow possessions with continuing costs, insurance, registration, maintenance, financing, and repairs. In the first few years, many new cars lose value quickly. If you finance the purchase, you may also pay interest on something that becomes less valuable every month. But depreciation is only part of the cost. The larger cost may be opportunity cost. Suppose you spend an extra $30,000 to upgrade from a reliable vehicle to a luxury model. That $30,000 is no longer available to build an emergency fund, pay down high-interest debt, acquire a valuable skill, invest for retirement, or start a business. You may think you bought a better car, but you also gave up part of your future flexibility. This does not mean nobody should buy an expensive car. If you can comfortably afford it, understand the cost, and genuinely value the experience, it may be a reasonable luxury. Just call it what it is. It is consumption, not a wealth-building investment. The second fake asset is an unaffordable home presented as guaranteed wealth. Home ownership can be valuable. A home provides shelter, stability, control over your living space, and potential long-term appreciation. But the phrase "your home is your biggest asset" can be dangerously incomplete. A home also creates costs: mortgage interest, property taxes, insurance, maintenance, repairs, transaction fees, and the risk of being tied to one location. If buying a home consumes nearly all your savings and leaves no room for emergencies, investing, or career flexibility, it may increase your net worth on paper while reducing your practical freedom. The right question is not, is renting always bad, or is buying always good? The right questions are, can I comfortably afford the total cost? How long do I expect to stay? What risks am I taking? What opportunities am I giving up? A modest home within your means can support wealth. A status home that creates constant financial stress can behave like a fake asset. The third fake asset is a complicated insurance investment product bought without understanding it. Insurance is important. The right policy can protect a family from financial disaster. Problems arise when insurance and investing are combined in a product the buyer cannot clearly evaluate. Whole life, universal life, and other cash value products are sometimes presented as sophisticated wealth-building tools. Some may be appropriate in specific tax, estate planning, or business situations, but many ordinary buyers are sold these products without understanding the commissions, surrender charges, projected returns, and low early cash values. Insurance is primarily about transferring risk. Investing is about allocating capital. When the two are bundled, complexity can make it difficult to know what you're paying for. The issue is not that every permanent insurance product is bad. The issue is buying a complex long-term contract because the salesperson called it an asset. Before signing, ask 4 questions. How does this product work? How does the seller get paid? What are the total fees and realistic non-guaranteed returns? What happens if I need my money early? If the answers are unclear, do not confuse complexity with sophistication. The fourth fake asset is gold when it is treated as a guaranteed wealth machine. Gold has a long history. It can serve as a store of value in some environments, and a modest allocation may help diversify certain portfolios. But gold does not produce cash flow. It does not innovate, hire people, launch products, or reinvest profits. If your entire plan depends on someone else paying a higher price later, you are mainly participating in a price-driven market. That does not mean gold can never rise. It can. It means gold should not be confused with a productive business. The same caution applies even more strongly to speculative digital assets. Some people have made life-changing money in crypto. Others have lost life savings. For an ordinary person, putting essential savings into an asset driven heavily by sentiment, liquidity regulation, and market narratives can be extremely dangerous. Speculation is not automatically foolish. But speculative positions should be sized as speculation, not presented as guaranteed long-term security. The fifth fake asset is the high-fee investment product. A 2% annual fee may sound small, but fees compound too. Over decades, even a modest annual fee can consume a surprisingly large share of the final result. The investor takes the market risk, while the intermediary receives a more predictable stream of fees. Many actively managed funds fail to beat comparable low-cost indexes over long periods after costs. Results vary by market, strategy, and time period, but the principle remains: complexity can make fees easier to hide. Before buying any investment product, ask 3 questions. What do I own? What am I paying? What must happen for me to make money? And if you cannot explain the answers in plain English, the product may be designed more for the seller than for you. The sixth fake asset is too much idle cash. Cash feels safe, and some cash is essential. An emergency fund is not a mistake. It protects you from being forced into debt or forced to sell investments during a crisis. But holding far more cash than you reasonably need for many years creates another risk: inflation. Your account balance may remain stable while your purchasing power slowly falls. The danger is not short-term volatility. The danger is long-term stagnation. The appropriate amount of cash depends on your income stability, health, family responsibilities, debt, and upcoming expenses. Cash is a tool. Too little can make you fragile. Too much can prevent part of your wealth from growing. The seventh fake asset is education with no realistic economic plan. Education can be one of the best investments a person ever makes. A useful degree, certification, apprenticeship, or technical skill can increase income for decades. But the word education does not automatically turn debt into an investment. If a program is extremely expensive, has weak completion rates, produces little employment value, and requires years of debt repayment, it may be consumption wrapped in the language of self-improvement. Before borrowing for education, ask, what skill will I gain? Is there a real demand for it? What do graduates typically earn? How much debt will I carry? Is there a cheaper route to a similar result? An investment in yourself should increase your capability, not merely give you a certificate. There is one more fake asset that is harder to see because it has no physical form. It is status. Status can make people buy homes they cannot afford, cars they do not need, clothes they barely wear, and experiences they do not enjoy. The purchase is not really about the object. It is about controlling how other people see you. This may be the most expensive fake asset of all, because there is no finish line. There is always a larger home, a newer car, a more exclusive vacation, and someone richer to compare yourself with. Status produces no cash flow. It produces a continuing desire for another upgrade. Charlie Munger's life offers a useful lesson here. His success was not only about making brilliant investments, it was also about avoiding avoidable stupidity. Wealth building is not always addition. Sometimes it is subtraction. Subtract the things that make you look rich but keep you dependent. Subtract products you do not understand. Subtract payments that buy status but reduce freedom. Subtract complexity that exists mainly to charge fees. Subtract the need to impress people who are not paying your bills. Real long-term assets are often boring. They are ownership in productive businesses. They are skills that increase earning power. They are tools that help you create value. They are investments you understand and can hold through difficult periods. They are habits that protect capital instead of leaking it. The best test is simple. Does this purchase increase my future cash flow, capability, resilience, or freedom? Or does it create another payment and a temporary feeling of success? Not every purchase needs to produce money. A good life includes comfort, pleasure, generosity, and experiences. The point is to know whether you are buying enjoyment or building wealth, and not to confuse one with the other. You do not need to get rich overnight. You do not need to impress everyone. You simply need to stop letting fake assets consume your future. When you stop using possessions to prove your worth and begin respecting cash flow, time, and simplicity, your financial life becomes lighter. Real freedom is not found in showing off what you own. It begins when the things you own no longer own you. Avoid the traps. Choose productive assets and get rich slowly enough to keep it.